Every SaaS founder should have their own podcast. All of the top SaaS founders today have a podcast or YouTube channel where they create content consistently. Today, I want to break down exactly how you can use podcasting to grow your SaaS business. Every business works the same way. You need a way to attract prospects to your business, a process to nurture them, and then you need to convert them into paying customers. Oh, and on the back end, you want to make them loyal customers. Every business needs the same model to work. SaaS companies are no different. So as I've been studying SaaS companies for the past 16 months, what I learned is there's a process that you can use to kind of cover all three of these areas, all four really, and be uber successful, save a lot of money and a lot of time. Let me break it down. Number one, you should have a podcast. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but think of it this way. When you podcast correctly, it can help you attract prospects to your business through SEO and being found on YouTube. We see a lot of people doing this. You get to nurture those prospects because they're tuning into your content, listening to you every single week. And then you can convert them using that same content or high quality call to actions, special gifts, special offers. Works really, really well, right? Now, I know you might be thinking, well, if that's the easy way to do it, why isn't everybody doing this? Because there's still two other parts of this process that you got to put in play. Number two is partnerships. See, most people do this wrong. They go and interview a bunch of random people online and the fake Amazon authors or the fake influencers that paid to be in Inc. 500 of these different lists. And that's not the way to do it. What you should do is focus on partners that actually have some connection in your market. People that have real influence in your industry. Let's say you have a fitness app. You're trying to build a platform where people can track their meals, track their workouts, even track their sleep, all of that stuff, right? Perfect fitness platform. You would want to have influencers working with you, right? You want to have some kind of partnership. The problem is people choose the wrong partners. You can't choose the people just because they have a large following on one social platform or because they say their email list is large. You need the people that fit with your specific market. And then take it a step further, you need a legit partnership. There needs to be some kind of agreement and congruence on how you're going to operate as partners. If you interview with somebody that has 100,000 followers on Instagram, great. They should be sharing your platform or sharing your content, something. Even when you share the content on your platform, tagging them for them to then reshare, you're going to get some buzz from that. So it just all really works together. But again, you got to get it right in terms of the right people. And a lot of founders aren't doing this part right. They aren't doing this correctly. But when you get the right people that you work with within your brand, oh man, it works really well. It's going to change the way your company honestly grows. Now, the last part of this is campaigns. I know that sounds terrifying. I'm telling you to spend money on ads. Oh my goodness. No, it's not what you think. I'm not one of those people that believes you should go and spend every piece of your marketing budget on Facebook or Google or Amazon ads. No, I don't believe that. But I think a portion of it should go to that process because that type of marketing, it's really hard to get outside of paying for it. Now, I do think it's a problem if you put all your effort into that and that's the only thing. But if that's a part of your process, I think it works perfectly. When I first moved to Seattle, I was doing events here. I was doing a couple events and local workshops and stuff like that for different podcasters. And it's funny, I ran a campaign where I just paid $5 a day for one of my videos to be boosted on Facebook. And anybody on Facebook or Instagram that was in a certain mile radius of my area got to see that content. Then I retargeted those people so they could interact with my brand a different way. And what's crazy is to this day, I kid you not, people come up to me all the time, or they just DM me on social media like, I remember you, I've seen you somewhere. Not realizing that they saw me in an ad years ago, but they probably saw 3 or 4 different ones or something like that, which is why they remember it so closely. That's why I think that process works really good. I will never argue against it because I've already used it myself and got results. So I think if you're going to put money into ads, again, there's a way to do it, but I think going the celebrity route or something like that, I like it. I think that's genius. I think a lot of people should try something like that because it can get you in front of a ton of your ideal prospects really fast, really easy, and fairly cheap. I didn't spend over $500 on this campaign. Like, I did not spend a lot of money. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't rolling the dough or anything like that, but I just spent the money correctly so I can get a result. What I want you to understand is these are pillars. Think of it that way. Because you need a way to attract, nurture, and convert your prospects. You got to have a system that's constantly flowing so the machine can always be turned on whenever you want it to, whether that's putting in more content or putting in more dollars. You want to have a machine that can just flow. So each of these processes I'm telling you about are things that you can control. You can turn it on and off. And once it's up and running, you will start to see results. It's not something that takes 10 months or 5 years. Like, this is not just this SEO thing where it's going to take forever for people to see you. No. That's why it's a part of the process, but not the entire thing. So let me explain a little bit more about what I mean by podcasting, because I know it's scaring the hell out of somebody out there. I know when I say podcasting in general, it scares you. Like, whenever I mention that a business should have a podcast, people lose their minds. And I get it. There are a bunch of different types of podcasts out there now. A lot of people have one or are talking about starting one, and it's becoming mainstream. And I understand the fear. Again, I get it. But one thing I want you to understand is, first of all, most people that have a podcast don't post. They had one, they put out 5 or 6 episodes and it stopped because they didn't make any money. They didn't become famous overnight and they quit. I'm telling you, no joke, that's like 90% of podcasts. Out of the million shows that have been launched, a small portion, literally under 10%, are consistently posting content. If you can make it past episode 7, you are already above average. That's the first part. Secondly, the biggest issue we have with podcasting is people are doing it all the same way. Now, with you starting a podcast for your SaaS business, you can do things completely different. That's why I created my own growth model for SaaS companies using podcasts. First of all, we do attraction episodes. We're not just going to sit and interview a bunch of experts and talk to a bunch of random people from your industry that kind of are popular, kind of are influencers, or they're the lower level people who put out a book on Amazon in one of the crappy categories so they can get ranked super high. I'm not talking about doing that. Attraction episodes are great because this covers SEO stuff and long tail keywords. You can make good blog posts from this content. When you do YouTube videos like this, it's really, really great content because it has a long lifetime. When I make this episode, my information I'm sharing here is going to be relevant to business owners, specifically SaaS business owners, for decades. It's not going to go away tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And you become relevant and thought leader in the space by putting out this type of content. Think of this as a top of funnel content. And this is where most podcasts go wrong because they stop right here. Now, this is just one of the podcast formats. Now, mind you, under this, we have like 3 or 4 different episode types that we follow. But just to kind of give you a grasp of things, attraction episodes is the first format. Now, the second format is nurturing. Think about this as the content that's going to get people to know, like, and trust you. Right? This is the content where you answer more of their questions, you solve more problems. I think you should be storytelling, talking about the brand here. Get really in depth on who you are, who your brand is, everything like that. You have to take that approach because your audience is going to love that. That's how you build that connection with them. In the attraction phase, we get their attention. In nurturing, we kind of keep it. And I want to give you an example of why you have to do this. Think about how weird it is now when we see Mark Zuckerberg talk. There's some people who you cannot convince that he's not a robot, which I think is hilarious. And that just goes to show you that you as a founder have to always have that personality effect, especially now. If you're not the billionaire founder, if you want to be profitable, people have to know more about you as a founder. There has to be some kind of connection. It just can't be you popping up when you want to sell something and then you go back into a hole for months and years even. That's just not going to work. So having your own show is going to build your personal brand even more, especially if you're not in a bubble interviewing the experts, right? So again, storytelling, talking about the business, why you got started, how you help people, answering questions, all of that stuff is super valuable. Those are nurturing episodes. Lastly, we have what I call conversion episodes. This is where you take people from being a listener, being active around the show, to actually taking action into working with your brand. Whether that is joining your email list, joining a newsletter, getting some free download, booking a call, whatever it is, we want them to take that next step, and we use these episodes to do it. Some of them are called, Move the Needle episode, where you give them reasons why they should work with your brand. I think comparison episodes work really well. Why your SaaS company is better than this other SaaS company. If you have features that other companies don't, that they haven't caught up to yet, you can highlight that in your content. This is where you should also be interviewing your happy users. Think about the power users that have supported your brand since day one. All of the people that are thinking about using your product need to hear that person's story, right? Now, we see testimonials on websites all the time. But imagine how powerful it will be if people could actually listen to that person talk about their experience with that brand. Think of it as a longer commercial. Like you see the Chick-fil-A commercials all the time where people are talking about their experience and how it is at their local Chick-fil-A or whatever that is. You want to do the same thing for your company, except you don't make it some super long infomercial. You actually let them talk. And when they talk about how great it is, it sounds 10 times better than it coming from you. And one of the most powerful aspects of this conversion area is the ability to use this content throughout your entire business. Oh my goodness, it works so well. Because now when people have those questions about, well, who have you worked with? Who have you helped? All of that stuff is going to come up, right? What you want to be able to do is plug in this content. Now, let's just say, for number's sake, you did interviews with 5 of your top power users, just 5. People use the app the most who love it. 5 of those people. Think about how many other people those 5 interviews could bring in. Literally just 30-minute conversations with all of them, all 5. And then you just put it inside of your email automations. You can link it on your website, post it in blogs. Think about how valuable that is. So many people are going to go and listen to that content and consume it, watch it on YouTube. And then they look at the brand and say, they were going through exactly what I was going through before we started working together. I need to go and check that out because if they got that result, I know I could. That's how you get more users. It all works together. One of my biggest issues when it comes to podcasting is the businesses that start these shows, they still focus on numbers. I want to be honest with you, the numbers on your podcast in terms of downloads and listeners or views on YouTube don't matter as much as the conversions. If you really want to grow your business and you want the podcast to be a part of that process, if that's what you're focused on, your energy needs to be into conversions. How many people are we getting to go from the podcast that are joining here, that are joining the newsletter, following us on LinkedIn, whatever it is? How many people are taking that action? That's the main number you have to focus on, because there are so many ways you can go and boost your show and get a bunch of numbers and have massive downloads, and it'll look good, it'll feel good, but that won't get you the actual customers that you really want. Like, you're not starting a show because you want to make content. You're starting a show because you want to get more users and more customers in your business, as you should. So don't lie to yourself saying that the numbers are more important. They are not. We all know that they are not. You care more about getting the users. So let's focus on that above everything else. Now, I know I probably still haven't convinced some of you, so I want to kind of go through a list of some of the top founders that I follow that have podcasts. First is Greg Eisenberg. Like, this guy is amazing. He's worked at all the top companies, worked in startups for years, has gotten amazing results. And this guy makes content consistently. He's interviewing amazing people from, the online world who might be super popular or might not. Sometimes I see him interviewing people who just have questions. Like, I love this type of content because it's super educational. It continues to build his brand. He can still promote any product or service that he wants. Like, you kind of create your own lane when you do this. That's the beautiful part of it. Like, I know when I listen to Greg's show, I'm going to see some new type of content. I'm going to hear something new that I've never heard before. It's always going to be something like that. That's what makes his show so good. I mean, look at Y Combinator. Y Combinator. They make content consistently. Michael Seibel will show up. They'll do roundtable discussions. They bring in founders from different companies they've worked with. And no matter how you feel about Y Combinator personally, you got to admit, objectively, you can learn a lot from watching their content. And I mean, if you're a founder watching their content, if you want to get your startup funding, I mean, where else would you want to go other than the people who are making content about the founders they're helping? Seems like a no-brainer scenario, right? Another amazing creator, Rob Walling. Love his content, love his book. SaaS Playbook is incredible. If you haven't gotten it, get a copy. It's amazing. And I love his content because you're going to learn something different. It's always new, and it's specific for SaaS companies, right? So when I see all of these types of creators out here making content and then talking about it, like, it doesn't make sense when I hear founders say that podcasts are stupid or a waste of time, because the people that you want to emulate have podcasts. And it's not like they're episode 3 or 4 or something. Greg Eisenberg's Startup Idea podcast has hundreds of episodes. Rob Walling is on episode like 800 something with it. It's insane. Everybody's making content out here. All the smart founders are already doing it. So if you're not and something's holding you back, I want to let you know you can make amazing content. You just got to commit to the process of making it and understand that you got to do it correctly. That's it. It's not just about getting started, start what you have. It's really about first understanding that there's something that you can do, that you have that ability to do it. and you can learn whatever skills necessary to make it happen. That's all. So I'm Coach Chris. I'm super excited. I got more content coming about what I'm doing in my own startup journey, my SaaS journey, all of that stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.